How is it going, fellow gamers? Welcome to another video on Project Ascension's Classic Plus server, Bronzebeard. In this video, I'm going to be going over the brand new Shaman enchant added to the game just the other day, how the enchant operates, what it does to the Shaman class as a whole, and how I built around the newly added legendary enchant, as well as some gameplay with the enchant, of course. Let's get right into it. For those of you who are unaware of what Project Ascension's Classic Plus is and what it brings to the table, feel free to watch one of these two videos on my channel, both of which go in depth in explaining the changes made to the world of Azeroth here on Bronzebeard. From the 2,000 plus new hand-placed items, hundreds of new points of interest, and the enchants and artifact ability system, as well as much more. Those videos go in depth to make sure that we are on the same page. But anyways, in today's video, as I mentioned in the introduction, we are going to be going over the newly added Shaman Tanking enchant added to the game just a few days ago, Earthen Guardian. In addition to the game that the community here on Bronzebeard has been practically begging for since the server released just a few months ago, which is a bit sad because I am more worried about them trying to get the Fire Mage healer added to the game, because that would be super cool, super fun, and you guys should agree with me on this one. But that's a rant for a different time. For now, at least, the Shaman Tankers got what they wanted, and the enchant did not perform all that terrible, to be honest. Again, this new legendary enchant is called Earthen Guardian, and essentially what it does is it gives you an ability called Stone Shield, which is applied to your character and is applied until cancelled or until you die. When Stone Shield is active on your player character, you have 15% reduced damage and 80% increased threat generation. Also, when Stone Shield is active, your Primal Strike summons an Earthen Spike below the target, dealing high threat physical damage to the target and to all nearby enemies uncapped. This also restores 20% of your base mana, so you should be utilizing this ability as much as you possibly can in your rotation. Lastly, when you apply this enchant, you learn a new ability called Unleashed Earth, which is your single target taunt for the build. The enchant alone is alright, but 1 mana is an issue, as well as 2 AoE threats. Without some sort of instant cast high threat AoE abilities, you're kind of in trouble. But I found some enchants as well as artifact ability and enchant combinations which do make that possible. This is what I am currently running on my Shaman tank. But first, before we get into the video, I wanted to make mention of the fact that I now have memberships for the channel. If you have any interest in supporting me in the process of growing this YouTube channel, speaking of which, shout out to the homie Lachaizi, sorry if I'm butchering your name, brother, for becoming a patron of the channel. I greatly appreciate you, man. You are the bomb. If you want to be like Lachaizi and get yourself shouted out at the beginning of every single video just like this, as well as many other perks which are slowly being added and worked on, then feel free to hit that join button next to the subscribe button. It is very much appreciated. Also, I've been using my Discord a lot more frequently to keep in touch with you guys and to announce when I'm streaming / recording for a video. So, currently handing out a free Bronzebeard bundle over on the Discord, so make sure you join the Discord and don't miss out on future opportunities like this. Anyhow, without any further ado, let's get into the video. The first enchant I'm using that assists with the threat issues this enchant has is Totemic Bond, an epic enchant which makes it so that all threat generated by the damage of your Searing Totem or Magma Totem will be redirected to us instead of being generated by the totem. This enchant allows us to remorselessly use the Fire Nova ability without our Searing Totem or Magma Totem being attacked and destroyed, which also assists with the mana issues passively, since you won't need to place your totem as frequently. Furthermore, this causes all threat generated by them to be directed to us. With Fire Nova being such a strong ability, this will be vital for holding AoE aggro. Another enchant we are using for AoE aggro is Cataclysmic Sundering, which makes it so that Sundering leaves a burning patch of lava on the ground, dealing fire damage to enemies every 4 seconds. But BlondeBelly, Sundering isn't an ability shamans have access to on Classic, you may be thinking right now. Well, thanks to the newly added artifact abilities, which is a feature added to the Mystic Enchant system here on Project Ascension, you can acquire something called the Sundering artifact ability, which teaches your shaman the ability Sundering. Sundering alone already shatters a line in front of you, causing fire damage and incapacitating the enemy's hit for 3 seconds on a 35-second cooldown. So Sundering is now not just an AoE threat generator, it is also uncapped crowd control. Pretty nice. As for the last enchant, I couldn't find anything quite as nice as the first two, so I used Zephyr for a while, which basically just makes it so that dealing damage with Wind Fury weapon applied to your weapon grants you Zephyr, which increases your melee attack speed by 2% per stack. This stacks up to 10 times and it lasts 15 seconds. When you hit max stacks, which is again 15, your Wind Fury weapon hits an additional 2 times, which is pretty cool. When you hit max stacks, which is 15, your Wind Fury weapon hits an additional 2 times. This is just extra threat generation at the end of the day. As for the rare enchants we use for this build, since we're allotted 2 of them at this point here on Bronzebeard, the 2 rare enchants we ended up going with just to lower the cost of our Fire Nova essentially. The first rare is a crossover talent called Improved Fire Nova, which is a 4-second reduction to Fire Nova and also 20% increased Fire Nova damage. Crossover talents, for those of you who are unaware, are simply a form of rare enchant that you can apply to your character after which give you a talent in another specialization tree. As an example for this build, we needed the talent into enhancement primarily, as that is where the majority of our avoidance talents are, such as shield specialization and toughness. This crossover talent gives us a talent from the elemental tree that you would normally need to talent into for 10 plus levels to even gain access to. These crossover talent enchants allow for more flexibility and customization of your class, which is a tried and true staple here on Project Ascension. Anyhow, the last rare enchant we used was the Glyph of Fire Nova, which simply reduces the cooldown of your Fire Nova. With these two rare enchants, we were able to get our Fire Nova down to a 3-second cooldown. Pretty nice for damage and really nice for AoE threat. The first few dungeons with this build did not go smooth. I was missing a few enchants, like specifically Totemic Bond and actually just Totemic Bond. But since I didn't have Totemic Bond, I wasn't using the two Fire Nova enchants, instead using enchants which increased the effectiveness of my lightning shield, which also turned out to just be useless for holding aggro. As with this method, you're just casting lightning shield more than you are doing anything else. The first dungeon run showed me that Totemic Bond was going to be required for this build, as my totems just continued to get manhandled by the mobs before I could get too many Fire Nova casts off or threat generation, which was just being targeted at my totems anyways and not myself, so it was pointless. So I spent the next 3 hours trying to roll for Totemic Bond, and let me tell you, that was a fun 3 hours. Spent a lot of time trying to get it, but we finally got it. And after we got it, things became a lot smoother. Alright guys, it's time to put this whole and complete enhancement Shaman Tanking build here on Project Ascension to work. Let's hope it goes well. There's not a lot of queues going on right now. This is about 5 hours prior to the big level 55 update. So, yeah, the population isn't in an insane spot, but it's about to get pretty insane. As you guys can see, the Fire Nova spam is a lot of damage. That's pretty much where the majority of our aggro is coming from at the moment. I'm not going to be lying to you right now. Our AoE threat comes from our Primordial Strike, so does our Mana Regeneration as mentioned prior, which allows for us to spam our Fire Nova as much as we do, as well as place it as much as we have to, because it does go away in about 25 to 30 seconds, even though we don't have it getting attacked due to our Totemic Bond, and all aggro being generated from it being sent to us, which is super nice, as well as that Cataclysmic Sundering that I'm utilizing with the Sundering artifact ability, which you can't use one without the other. They're kind of needed for each other. I really like this Primordial Strike animation they got going, man. Really helps this Shaman Tank build feel unique to their healing enhancement, which is melee, and elemental, which is caster builds. Shaman can do it all now. They can cast, they can melee, they can tank, they can heal. They're in a good spot. I'm hoping that they do the same thing with every other class in the game, and by do the same thing, I mean I hope they make it so that Warlocks can maybe have some kind of healing build or support build possibly, but I'm at least hoping that they make it so each class has a unique spec custom to Project Ascension. That would be super cool. I'm going to assume that that's going to be what they're doing. What I'm really hoping, though, is that they make it so that the mage's custom specialization is a fire mage healer, not some kind of, like, fucking arcane mage healer. We already have an arcane healer or whatever over on SOD, which is kind of mid compared to Cauterizing Flames. I'm not gonna lie to you. But as you guys can see, generally AoE threat's not an issue thanks to Fire Nova. It's super nice. Primordial Strike helps a lot as well, and then obviously Sundering is huge. It doesn't seem to ever actually incapacitate the enemy for up to 3 seconds. It seems to be about a half a second, but even with that half a second, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that. We are pretty consistently top DPS in every single one of the dungeons that we're doing, though, which is a Shaman specialty, I guess you could say, especially with Fire Nova. It's so good. I love Fire Nova. Staying on top of water shields is really important for mana management as well. Mana management, even up to this point, with the build being as close to done as we can be at level 45, is still having a lot of mana issues, as you can see. And I'm also having health issues right now, I guess. That's not good. Oh, but we got clutch heal. Huge, bro. Big DPS, big pull, big aggro, big fun this build is. I love it. Even without Fire Nova, because I'm literally unable to place my totems right now due to the amount of mana I have, I'm holding pretty good AoE threat. I am also not in a group with the highest damage output individuals. A lot of people seem to be leveling, actually. With the update coming out in 5 hours, I'm not surprised. I want to see higher numbers, but I'm always the top number. Look at that Fire Nova damage. Pretty much all my damage. But yeah, no. Like I was saying, AoE threat's good. Single target threat, as you'll see, is pretty decent. The paladins can be a bit of a problem whenever you're trying to hold single target threat with a paladin, but that's a whole nother issue. Paladins are just a fucking issue, period. Alright, buddy. It's time for you to die. Let's see what you got for me. See what I got for you. See if I can hold a threat for these guys. Should be good. Single target was usually the least of my problems. As you can tell, it's been a second since I've been able to play with the build because the server has been dead and getting deep, and getting queues at all has been kind of an issue. But since there's an update right around the corner, we're getting some people leveling up as I showed you prior, so queues are a little bit better as of right now. As we wrap up the dungeon though, I want to quickly shout out the Discord again. We're going to be handing out a couple of bundles to people in the Discord on the stream that I'm going to be doing later today for the release of level 55 over on the Bronzebeard server by Project Ascension. So 1, be sure to join the Discord, and 2, be sure to keep your eyes peeled for future streams and any stream here on the channel or on my Twitch, twitch.tv/bellyblonde. But boys, I am going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope you enjoyed the Shaman Tanking build here on Project Ascension's Classic Plus server, Bronzebeard. If you enjoyed the video, learned something new, or had a laugh while watching, a like, comment, and subscribe is greatly appreciated and really benefits a small channel like mine. I hope everybody watching has a fantastic rest of the day. Shout out again to LEGNDARY. I appreciate you, homie. You the bomb. Have a great rest of the day. Peace, boys. See ya on Bronzebeard.